Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are making these crochet sleeves, shrug. I've seen them called boleros, but I don't believe that that's actually what a bolero is. So I'm just calling them crochet sleeves. I think you get the point. You see them. This is what they look like. I think this is a pretty beginner friendly project. I walk you through it. Hopefully you should be able to follow this. If you can't, maybe like rewind and watch again or ask me questions. I'd be happy to help. I've made about 50 of these, I think, so I think I've got it down. And I've had so many people ask me to make a tutorial, so I thought I would finally do it. I think that's all I have to say. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just go. Come on. Let's go make some sleeves. You're gonna need some yarn, obviously. So this is 100% acrylic big twist yarn from Joann's. There's the information. It's in the color Denim Blue. And for a size small in the sleeves, which is what I made in this video, I used about 100 grams of yarn, and this is 170 grams. You're also gonna need a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, a darning needle, and some scissors. First things first, we're gonna make a slip knot. Insert your hook. And then from here, you are going to chain enough to meet half of your bust measurement, plus a little bit more. I like doing a little bit extra. So you take your yarn, wrap it around the hook, and then pull it through the loop. And then just do this until you get the right length. My bust measurement is about 34 inches, and as you can see, I just have about 17.5 inches worth of chains, so a little bit more than half of my bust. And this is 61 chains. In case you're trying to make the same size as me, I did 61 chains. Once you've chained enough for half of your bust measurement, you're now going to do 9 additional chains. So what I like to do is hold on to this very last chain that we did, just so I can mark it and don't have to recount. And then I'm going to just count 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we're going to start making our mesh stitch. So you're going to wrap your yarn and then go into this chain that we're holding on to. So the 10th chain from the hook, because we just did 9 chains. So you're going to the 10th chain from your hook. If you do let go, it's fine. Just count the 10th chain from your hook. Go in there, pull your yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And that's a double crochet, in case you don't know. If that was hard for you, feel free to watch it again or look up a tutorial or something, but that is a double crochet. And now you're going to chain 3, and then skip 3 stitches. Go into the 4th stitch with a double crochet, chain 3, skip 3 stitches, go into the 4th stitch with a double crochet, and then you're just going to do this all the way down. If you have 3 or 5, I say just pretend that it's 4 and pretend that it's right, and it'll probably be fine. It doesn't need perfect. I don't know. So here I've done the first row of these mesh stitches. Once you get to the very end, instead of chaining 3, you're going to chain 6. And you're going to do this at the end of every single row from now on. So I've turned my work, and now I'm going to do double crochets into these gaps, these holes right here. So wrap your yarn around the hook, go into that big gap there, the very first one, do a double crochet, and now you're going to chain 3 like we were doing earlier. Go into this next one, chain 3, and you're just going to do this all the way down, doing a double crochet into the big gaps here, all the way to this very last one. And then I go into this very last one just like normal, double crochet, and then once again, since we're at the end, we're going to be chaining 6. Then turn your work. Now do the same thing where you go into this very first one with a double crochet, chain 3, and then just repeat the whole way down. I'm working on my 4th row here, and I think you guys have got it down by now, and if you don't, feel free to rewatch the parts where I'm showing how to do this stitch. But what you're going to do now is you're going to do this for a total of 8 rows. So right now I'm on my 4th, and I'm going to do this for 8, and I'll get back to you once I've done 8 rows. I'm finishing up my 8th row. And there we go. You might want yours longer, and if that's the case, then you can just do more rows. Basically, this is going to be the length of the front and back panels. Once you're happy with the number of rows you have, which again in my case is 8, you are going to chain 6 like normal. Turn your work. And now we're going to make the neck opening. So here I have another pair of sleeves that I made so I can show you what I'm talking about. We just made this front panel right here, and now what we need to do is we need to make this hole so your head can go through it. So we are going to do the mesh stitches there, and then we're going to skip these and just chain over this space and then reconnect and do these here, so then we have a hole for the neck. I hope that makes sense, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. For a size small, I'm going to do 4 squares on each side. Yours is going to be different depending on what size you do, but basically you want it to kind of be this proportion of the top. So I'm doing 4 on each side. I'm going to do just like normal. We were doing the double crochet into the hole, chain 3, but I'm only going to do 4 of these. So there's 2, 3, and then here's my 4th. As you can see, I have 4 boxes right there. Now you have to calculate how many stitches you're going to go over this way. And I've kind of made a little formula for figuring out how many you need to do. Since I did 4 grids over here, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side, and you're going to do 1 more. So I'm going to go to the 5th, and then you're going to count how many holes you have in between where you stopped here and where you are here in your 5th or whatever hole it is for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For me, it's 7, but yours might be different. So you're going to multiply that number by 4, so that's 28, and you're going to add 3, so that's 31. I'm sorry if that was really confusing. Feel free to watch that again and make sure you understand what I'm talking about. I'll explain it again. You're going to do the number of squares that you did on this side, so for me that's 4, and you're going to go 1 more and then count these squares in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, multiply that by 4 and then add 3. And I should clarify that you're multiplying it by 4 no matter what. Like even if this is 5 squares over here, you're still multiplying it by 4 because it's 4 stitches per box, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to chain that number, which for me is 31, so I'm going to chain 31, but chain whatever yours is. Once you've done the appropriate number of chains, you're going to connect in the n+1 square. So for me, I had 4 on this side, so I'm going to connect in the 5th chain from the left. So you're going to connect it with a double crochet, so wrap the yarn around your hook and kind of hold this to keep it wrapped around there. It's kind of hard to do, but you'll figure it out. Then I'm going into the 5th square from the left, and then I'm doing a double crochet. Might be kind of difficult. And now just chain 3, and then go into this next square, and then chain 3, and then we're just doing the regular mesh stitch that we've been doing the whole time. And once you do the very last square, you're going to chain 6 just like normal. Turn your work. And now we are going to work on the back panel. So this is front panel, then neck opening, then back panel. You're just going to do your regular stitch into these first stitches, and then I'll show you what to do when we get to this chain. Now that I've run out of squares to go into, I'm going to have to count out the stitches. So you're going to count this one right here as a stitch, and then count this double crochet as a stitch, count this one and this one. So you're going to go into the 4th. So 1, because this is technically in the middle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then do a double crochet. Now chain 3. Skip 3 stitches, go into the 4th, double crochet, chain 3, and then you're just going to do this all the way across this chain that we made. Now once you run out of spaces in the chain, you're going to chain 3, wrap your hook, and then go into this next box. Go into the last one, chain 6, turn, and at this point you want to count all of your holes and make sure that they match the number of holes here and that you haven't added any extra. And then we're just going to do what we've been doing, where you do double crochet, chain 3, and then just go into all the holes, just like we've been doing. I'm going to keep doing this stitch until I get to 8 rows, counting this one as the first one, so it matches the height of the front panel, which for me is 8. I'm gonna keep doing this until I have 8 total, and then I'll get back to you. As you can see, I've just finished my back panel, so I have 8 rows on the back, 8 rows in the front. And now I'm going to chain up 1 at the very end, and then I'm gonna fold my back panel to my front panel. I'm gonna find the very first stitch, which is this one, this corner stitch with the tail, and then hold them together like this. And now we're gonna create the armhole. To do this, we're gonna slip stitch the front and the back panel together until we have an opening here that fits around our arm, like at the armpit area. Stick it through one of these front loops somewhere on that panel, and then find something similar on the back panel, stick it through, grab your yarn, and then pull it through all of the loops on the hook. Then just find another stitch and do the same thing. Basically, you want to slip stitch some and then try it on. Put your head through this hole, put your arm through this hole, and make sure that it fits snugly but not tightly in like an uncomfortable way, because you don't want it digging into your armpit, but you also don't want it too loose, because I find that as you keep going down the arm, it gets wider, and you probably don't want it like super wide on your arms. So you want it to fit comfortably but still snug. At this point, chain 3. I like to do my sleeves with 13 stitches, including the very last stitch that we're going to do, which I'll show you how to do that one. That one's a little different. I'm counting this one as my first hole, because this is where my chain 3 is, basically in this hole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we're going to have one more stitch connecting these two, and that's going to make it 13. So if you're doing the same size as me, then that should work for you as well, but you should definitely still try it on and make sure that that's going to work for you. Now you're going to do a double crochet into this next hole, chain 3, and then you're just going to do that stitch that we've been doing all around. Double crochet, chain 3, go into the next hole, double crochet, chain 3, go into the next hole, and then I'm going to do this all the way around. This is the last hole, and this should be 12 stitches that I've done. This is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But again, yours might be different if you're not making the same size. And then for this last one, chain 3. And then you're going to go into this very first stitch, like so. Then chain 3. And now we are just going to be working in a spiral. So there's not going to be any stop and end points. You're not meeting back up at the beginning. You're just going to continue to work down the sleeve in a spiral. Here we are back where we started, because you can tell by the seam. And as you can see, I'm not joining up with anything. I'm literally just continuing to go across with the stitch, just like we've been doing. So there's no start and end. You're literally just going to continue doing this until you reach a length that works for your sleeve. I would recommend, just as you work, for like that much work that you do, you should try it on and make sure that it's still fitting properly. So I'm gonna just keep doing this, working in the spiral until I get to a length that works for my arms, and I will come back. I have finished my sleeve, and as you can see from the slip stitch seam over here to the end, it's about 21.5 inches, which is a good fit for me because I like mine to be a little bit longer. Once you've done your last stitch, you're just gonna chain 3 like normal, but instead of doing a double crochet in this next hole, you're just gonna do a slip stitch like that, and then just chain 1 and cut your yarn, and then pull it through, tighten it, and you're done with your first sleeve. Now we just need to do the second sleeve, so we're gonna do the exact same thing that we just did, but first we need to attach the yarn, fold it over, and then find a chain that's like in the middle there, and then in the middle there. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your hook, stick it through that chain, and then stick it through the same chain on the other side. Grab your yarn and make a slip knot. Then with your hook in both loops, you'll put the slip knot on your hook and then pull it through those loops, and then you're just going to slip stitch the corresponding stitches together like we did on the other sleeve. So you're just going to do however many you need to do to get the same number of holes as you did for your first sleeve, which again for me is 13 total, including that very last like weird stitch. Now that I have my slip stitches, I'm gonna chain 3, and then I'm gonna go into these holes and do my little mesh stitch that we're so used to, and just go all the way around. And I'm literally just doing the exact same thing that we did on the other sleeve, where I'm just going in a spiral with this mesh stitch until I reach the same length that was on this sleeve. All right, so my second sleeve is done, and I'm done. Now all I have to do is weave in the ends. Take your darning needle, and what I do is I just like weave it in through these posts. Like I just find random little loops to weave it through like that. You just want to weave it around. I'll go like back over those places because you just don't want it unraveling. You just want it to be secure. And then I'll just pull it and then chop it so it just kind of hides. I did the other sleeve, and now I just need to do the little armpit part. Just kind of weave it in that slip stitch seam because it's kind of thick, so it just hides it more easily. Doing the other side. I'm doing the other armpit now. And there you go, it's done. Now you just want to flip it inside out so the seam's on the inside. And this is what your sleeves are gonna look like. Okay guys, here is the final product. Do a full little spin for you. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that needs clarification, comment below and I'd be happy to help you. If you do decide to make your own, please tag me on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. All that's in the description box, or send me a picture. I just want to like see your sleeves because it will make me feel so much better about this video, because I'll be like, oh, it actually helped someone, like it actually was not a terrible video. If you're not subscribed already, I would really appreciate it if you did, because it's free and I'm gonna be making more crochet videos in the future, so there's really no reason not to subscribe. Like I'm just saying. Let me know if you have any crochet tutorial requests for me to make in the future in the comments. And I think that's all I have to say. So yeah, bye guys.